Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dear students. Whatever time you might be watching this video, it is for you. So, today I'm back with a new lesson for class 9. I'm going to explain the story written by Isaac Asimov, which is titled The Fun They Had. You will find it in NCERT book of Standard 9. So this story, The Fun They Had, is a science fiction story written by Isaac Asimov, a Russian-born American writer. Isaac Asimov was a professor of biochemistry, and this story actually was first published in 1951, some 72 years from now. Isaac Asimov could think about what would happen in future. This is of course science fiction, but you know the way the world is developing at present. I'm talking about artificial intelligence, the workings of robots, computerized machines, okay? And recently we come to know about Sophia. You better find out more about Sophia. I'm just telling you this name developed with artificial intelligence. Sophia is a robot, a robotic girl, so find out about her more. Actually, this story, The Fun They Had, projects us into the future, okay, which is more than 130 years from now, into the future, okay. So you will find in the story, in some books, in some edition of this story, it is dated 17 May 2155. In some books it is dated 17 May 2157. The book that I have right now is dated 17 May 2157. Alright? Some 136 years from now. This is the month of May. Today is the 4th of May, and we are talking about 17 May 2157, which is 136 years from now. So the writer is trying to tell us what is going to be the future of schools in future. How would a student be enrolled in a particular school in that much future? When we read the story, we find the story centers around the little girl Margie and the young boy Tommy. Okay, Margie had it on a diary page, writing something. You know, I have two things here. One is notebook, one is diary. So let's just check out. This is how a notebook would look like. It's only ruled pages, you will see. Nothing is written. Okay, but when we talk about a diary, look at this. A diary is headed with dates. Every page has got its own dates. 22nd July, 23rd July, and here it's talking about 17 May. So if we turn the pages towards this month, May, it's talking about 17 May. Margie took her diary and wrote something on the page headed 17 May 2157. As my book tells me 2157, so I'm telling you 2157. In some books it is 2155. Okay, so whichever is correct, I don't know exactly. It was first published in a magazine in America, 1951. So I don't exactly know what was the correct year mentioned in that. But 17 May, she had written something. So let's check out what she had written. It says like this: Margie even wrote it that night. That particular night, she took out a diary and wrote something there. On the page headed May 17, 2157, she wrote, "Today, Tommy found a real book." Real book. What is a real book? What is a real book? What is an unreal book? You know, when you talk about a real book, any book like this printed, okay, any book like this printed is a real book. A book which is not printed, but you can read it. I'm reading a book right here, which is not a real book, but it is a virtual book. A book that can be read on a screen, a television screen, a computer monitor screen, or a cell phone screen, whatever it is, we can read it on a screen. That is virtual book. Okay. Now, why is it important for Margie to write something like today Tommy found a real book? Why is it so? Now let's go to that future. In that future, Margie and Tommy are living is 2157. It's very far away into the future, so we can't imagine 100 years from now what will happen to this world, the development that you see around us, okay, the changing times, everything. That means Margie and Tommy do not get printed books like this, to read. This is a printed book. You're reading this kind of printed books, alright? But Margie and Tommy are not getting this kind of books to read. Instead, they get books to read like this, okay? That is on screen. So, interestingly, you know, Tommy found one old book, very, very old book. Okay? Have you ever seen 100 years old book? You might find some, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old books in some old college libraries, school libraries, but I don't think you might be getting 100 years old book. Okay? Now if the book is published today, our time, this kind of books, if I keep it for 130 years, what would be the condition of this book? Just imagine. So the book that is being described there was found by Tommy in his house. Margie and Tommy's house were just close to each other, okay? They were neighbors. Now, that old book was found, and it's a very, very old book. So it says like this: it was a very old book. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him there was a time all stories were printed on paper. So that's what it is. I'm gonna explain you what it means to say. Let's say we have Margie here, okay, and it says Margie's grandfather. Let's talk, this is Margie's father, this is Margie, and it says Margie's grandfather. This is Margie's grandfather, okay. Now it says when Margie's grandfather was a small boy, his grandfather, that means his grandfather. So let's say if he is a small boy, his father, and Margie's grandfather's grandfather. Here, let's say grandfather. Now look at the generations. From Margie, her father, her father's father, again her father's father's father, again go on like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations. Okay, so during the time of this person, the last person that I have shown you here, during the time of this person, Margie came to know that books were printed, the stories were printed in books. Okay, so interestingly, this is how it is presented here in the story. Now when we look at that kind of old book, the story tells us that it turns yellowish in color and crinkly. Okay, when you look at your new books, it's white in color, good to look. But when a book particularly gets old, it starts becoming yellow and crinkly. Look at this. I don't know whether you can see it on the screen. Look at this small folds that is happening here. All these small folds. Okay, with the continuous use, as you keep on using it every day, this happens like this. This is called crinkly. Look at this, the small folds on the corner. That is your, what we say, crinkly. Okay, the story tells us the book gets yellowish in color and crinkly. You know what? You can't compare a new book and an old book. I have a very old book here. Some 10 years back, I bought this book, and this is a newer one. You see, the color looks clean and white, but you see this book, it's yellowish. Look at the border edges. You see, it's yellowish in color. Okay, and it has started getting crinkly out of use, and the front cover page is already out of place, it's gone. So whatever it is, look at the kind of book I have after many days. So I can imagine this, that even older than this, even much yellowish than this, crinklier than this book, you know, Tommy was holding on that particular day. Okay, so if I can show you any picture like that, I'll try to show you on screen. Something very funny is, when you read this kind of book, turn to one page. Okay, you'll read it as it is. Now as you go on reading, turning the pages next to it, when you come back to the same page, it is after all the same. It has not changed. What is printed remains permanent like that. Okay, it is unchangeable here. But you know, they have never seen that kind of thing, because their book appears on screen and a lot of ads and all, you know, it keeps on changing. Probably this is the kind of thing that they are really surprised with. Okay, so interestingly, you can see that the book was really very old. Okay, and what is the book about? During the conversation between Tommy and Margie, they were talking about that the particular book that they got was written about schools. Now you know one thing, Margie hated school because she was deteriorating in a particular subject, that is geography. In geography sector, her computer robotic teacher, okay, they say it is a regular teacher, Regular teacher in our case are human beings, but in their case, 130 years from now, the writer imagines that the teachers are not human beings but the robots. Robotic teacher or mechanical teacher. Okay, so in that future, Tommy and Margie are taught by robotic teachers. So their books, their lessons appear on the screen, okay, of a computer, a robotic teacher. So their robotic teacher is black, it looks ugly, Margie doesn't like it, okay. For one reason she hated the most, that they have to prepare punch codes, okay, write the answers in codes and put it in a slot particularly dedicated for such kind of thing in the computer machine. So their marks are immediately calculated and they don't have to wait for the results to come out. The results are instant, very prompt. So we find Margie was 11 and Tommy was 13 years old. What we can see, Margie, as they discuss here, Margie had seen lesser number of books in her entire life, because you see, whenever you were in class 7, 2 years younger than right now you are in, you won't get to read as many books as a student who is in standard 9. So same is the case with you. Okay, when you were in class 7, you cannot compare yourself with the students of standard 9. So now you are in 9, you cannot measure yourself with the students of standard 11 or 12. So that's the case. Now Margie hated school because it was not fun. For you, just imagine, school is fun, really fun. You don't like to skip school. You like to come to school every day. Whatever may happen, you would like to come to school because you have friends, you meet friends, you talk with your friends, you discuss things with your friends, you learn together in a class. So that's how it is. But in the case of Margie and Tommy, their schoolroom is next to their bedroom. Next to their bedroom. Imagine what kind of fun that would bring. Imagine what kind of dullness of spirit those students would be undergoing in such kind of environment. Okay, because the book was written about school, Margie was angry. What is there to write about school? Because she hated school. Alright? And of course Tommy says, if you don't like to read, if you don't like to know more about the kind of schools they had in the past, why, you go away, you don't read with me. That was Tommy's attitude. Okay, but whatever, Margie wanted to know about that kind of schools. What kind of schools existed in the past? Let's talk about our past. Today, our kind of school is what? That we have a special building where all the kids around the neighborhood come together and learn together. This is what we have. In the earlier days, history tells us that the schools were held somewhere under a tree, under the shade of a tree, or the teacher's house. Okay, I like that kind, but that has come over a load of transformation, and we have this kind of school at present. Okay, the kind of school that we have. Teachers are human beings, but according to Tommy and Margie, their schools are filled with robotic teachers, no human teachers. For one reason, Margie hated school, because geography sector was deteriorating. Test after test she had to appear, but she would carry poor marks. Her mother was worried And so one day she called for the county inspector. Now who is that county inspector? You have to understand about it, okay? Now because the whole area, as you come from different places of a particular area to a particular school, in their time, what do you have? A particular area is surveyed or supervised by a particular person that is called county inspector. He would take care of all the robotic teachers in and around this particular area which is given to him to look over. Okay, so like that the county inspector came and observed Margie's teacher and found that the geography sector was running too fast for Margie to grasp over it. Okay, so he slowed down a little bit, and while he was doing the work, Margie thought that let him be taken away. She doesn't like school, so she thought it would be good if my teacher is taken away as a whole for about a month, like once it happened to Tommy's teacher. Tommy's teacher once had a blank out in history sector. His teacher's history sector was completely blanked out, so his teacher had to be taken away altogether for about a month, and Tommy was free, enjoyed his days. Margie wanted to have such kind of incident with her also, but the county inspector repaired it, managed with it, and the robotic teacher was well and good again. So I'm not reading the story thoroughly. When you read the story, these incidents are actually the flashbacks that Margie captures from her past days right now, because they are talking about school. She remembers about her school, why she hates her school. These things are there. So presently, as they are talking about schools, it says that this school, the kind of school in the past, okay, from Margie's time, 150 or 130 years back, let's talk about it. The schools were a lot of fun. Okay, why a lot of fun? Because students came from the neighboring areas and gathered together in one place. If they are of the same age group, then they sit in a particular class, like the class divisions are heaven. Interestingly, when Tommy told that the kind of schools that we have here in the book, in this old book, is that the specialty about that school is that the children used to come together in a special building called school. They learn together, they talk together. That's what they had. And especially the teachers were human beings, he told. Margie never thought that a human being can be as intelligent as her robotic teacher. That's the thing, okay? Now you see, let me tell you one thing. What would you judge it with? The creator is more intelligent or the created is more intelligent? Created means the robotic teacher. Creator means the person who has built that robotic teacher. Human beings are more intelligent than the robotic teachers, of course. This is the truth. This is the truth. Okay? But Margie, being young, did not understand that kind of thing. Tommy said, my father is as intelligent as my robotic teacher. That's the truth. That's the truth. As they keep on conversating about it, Margie said, I wouldn't allow somebody, a stranger, to my house to come and teach me like that. Tommy said, no, you are wrong. Teachers would not come to your house, but the students would go to a special building called school. All the kids from the neighborhood would attend there. Teachers also would come there. and they would be sitting in the same class if they are of same age group, and they learn the same thing. They do things, teachers teach them, give them homeworks, make them write things, ask questions. That's what the story tells us. Tommy told Margie. When they were not half done about the reading of that particular old book Tommy found, Tommy actually found it in the attic. Attic is a small storeroom, a particular room that is on the upper floor with only a door without windows. There he found in that storage, okay? And so centuries ago, Tommy tells, students would come to a special building. Teachers also would come and teach the students. Human beings are adjusted to emotions, but the robotic teachers are not adjusted to emotions. Margie's mother would say that a teacher should be adjusted according to the ability of a particular child. Of course it is. But in the kind of school that we are having is, a particularly adjusted situation that we have. Not all students are very fast in learning. Not all students are able to memorize very instantly. Levels of understandings are also different. These differences will always be there. But a human teacher can understand, because we are emotional beings, we can understand to each other's situation. That is the thing. But a robotic teacher may not understand everything. Alright? Margie and Tommy learned arithmetic, which means mathematics, history and geography. When they were not half done reading the book, Margie's mother came and told Margie, it's time for your school. Go to school. Maybe it's time for Tommy also. Go to school. Margie really hated school. She was reluctant to go to school. She said, not yet, Mama. But Margie's mother believed that if kids are allowed to learn in the same time every day, they learn better. They understand better. So it's a routine kind of thing. Just as the school that you are having routine. Every day starting at 8:30, or some schools starting at 9, some schools starting at 7:15, 7:30, whatever timings you people are having. So interestingly, what happens is every day at 8 o'clock, the teacher used to get itself automatically switched on. Every day, Monday to Friday, 5 days, Monday to Friday. Okay? And Saturdays and Sundays are actually off days for them. They don't have to go to school. When Margie went to school and she was sitting there to learn her lessons, the robotic teacher was already showing the lessons to her. But what happened? Her mind went back to the past. Just as you sitting right in the class now, when we talk about this story or when you read this story, your mind will be taken into that future. 150 years from now, into that future. What kind of school would that be with a robotic teacher? That would not be fun. The school today is filled with fun. Your imagination is taken to the future. Just like that, when Margie read the book, that old book, her imagination was also taken back to the past, not in the future, to the past. Okay? So, that's how right now when her teacher was showing some mathematics lesson on the screen, her mind was flashing back, or her mind was taken away to the past memory about the kind of school they had. She imagined how the children are coming together, making noise, shouting, learning together, reading together, doing works together, doing homeworks together. Everything that comes to her mind, she's imagining about the children going to school. A lot of fun. That's why the story is titled The Fun They Had. The fun they had. What would be that fun the students of those schools in the past had? What kind of fun they enjoyed? This is the kind of situation Margie is undergoing right now. This is the story. You read the story, you will understand it better. So I think I've made it clear the summary of the story. This is what the story tells us. You go through it, read it, you will understand it better. Just like Margie, it was a thought-provoking situation. Her mind went back to the past. Ours also takes us to future. When we look at the development today, the kind of development in science and technology at present, our future is almost going to be like that. Okay? Some 50 years back, the writer imagined about this kind of thing because he had seen the development, how the situation is developing, referring to the history, what kind of schools we had in the past, now at present what kind of schools we are having, and with the development of science and technology, what kind of schools are going to exist in future. Obviously, we can see it right now because most of the things can be done through robots these days. And that's why I also believe that it may not be impossible that schools would become like that. Okay? Stay safe, do work hard, and thank you for watching.